посвящает вот это бесценное время, где он действительно сеет свет, добро и очень-очень много мудрых поучений, просто изречений вот в этот промежуток времени у нас в эфире радио РУСА. И сегодня хотелось бы с ним поднять вопрос по поводу мужского эго. Оно не просто так, я в процессе разговора объясню, почему я поднимаю этот вопрос. И, естественно, хотелось бы знать, вот как вот сегодняшняя вот эта гендерная неразбериха, как она сегодня в наше время влияет на мужское эго. Вот с этим, я надеюсь, нам поможет сегодня разобраться раввин Маниса Фридман, которого я сразу же подключаю и задаю ему этот же вопрос по-английски. Rabbi Manis Fridman, hello, thank God it's Tuesday. First and foremost, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov.
Oh, thank you.
Your birthday was yesterday, and you're a Kahanim, so I'm sorry, I'm going to get straight to the point. It's still activated. Please give us your Kahanim blessing. I'm sure you still have that amazing power that people have on their birthdays to do just that.
We should all have abundant good news. Everyone in what they need most, whether they know it or not. So sometimes the blessings have to be things you never even thought of, but you should have. So in whatever it is we need, we should have only good news.
Amen. Amazing. Thank you so, so much. And now, of course, I'd like to get to today's topic. And it's not out of the blue. It's just this past Shabbat on Saturday, when we sat down to a day meal with my husband, who just came back from the synagogue, and we were discussing the Torah portion. And he says to me, you know what the most amazing thing, and I think it's not just him, it's most men, the most amazing thing about last week's Torah portion that most men noticed is how Rivka spoke to her husband. How Rivka was, obviously, she is the mother of the family. She wants only the best for the family. She has proven herself through and through. And yet, when she wants to have her son go away and marry outside of the place where they live, to Haran, she says it in such a way that this idea comes from her husband, not from her. And my husband found this to be the most impressive thing in the entire Torah portion, and so did the rabbi, and so did most of the men in the synagogue, and I'm sure not just our synagogue, but all synagogues. And the question that I had to ask my husband right there and then, I said, why? Why is it so important? What what kind of ego do men have? That things like that, you know you have a devoted wife, you know that she wants the best, and if she has a good idea, fantastic. Why do you need that idea to come from you? Why is it so important? So that would be my question number one. So it seems like men have fragile egos, and of course we would like to know why, because obviously it's coming from the beginning of times. It's not something we acquired recently, since it's in the Torah way back when. And of course, then I would like to bring everything to our times today with all the gender confusion that we're having today. If men have very fragile egos to begin with, what is happening to their egos in our times when there is really such a confusion? Who is man, who is woman, what man is supposed to do, what a woman is supposed to do, and what are we supposed to look like, act like, feel like, be like. So all of these things, Rabbi Fridman, so we have a lot to discuss today, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say.
What's the cure for a fragile ego?
A compliment?
The cure. The cure to a fragile ego is no ego. See, most people say, if you have a fragile ego, you have to build up your ego so that you have a strong ego. You're just exchanging one problem for another. The real solution to a fragile ego is to have no ego. or less ego, whatever. So the antidote to all ego issues is humility. Too much focus on self will cause problems because you'll either have an inflated opinion of yourself or a distorted negative image of yourself. So if the self becomes the topic, it's murky. It's not a good topic to get involved with. I am whatever I am. The question is, how much good can I accomplish? So why am I constantly thinking about me? Fragile or not fragile, I should not be the topic all the time. But in that story, let's go back to the story for a moment. It sounds like, when I read it, I heard something different. Rivka advises Yaakov to steal the blessings. And he does successfully. But now Esav wants to kill him. So why is Rivka suggesting that he leave town? To find a wife? So she doesn't want to say he's got to get out of town because his brother is going to kill him. So she says, no, he's going to look for a shidduch. He needs to get married, so he should go. Well, why don't you do what Avraham did? Send one of your servants to find him a wife. Why does he have to go? So it seems a little manipulative, no? She doesn't tell her husband that Yaakov is in danger. She finds another reason for him to go to Haran. It is a very healthy thing, by the way. It has nothing to do with ego, actually. In every system, in every group, in every collective life, if you're living with other people, there's got to be where the buck stops. You can't constantly be debating with two equal opinions and you get nowhere. Like in the presidency, the president has veto power. He has to. Otherwise, nothing will ever get accomplished. Now, it could be that the president is not the smartest guy in the room. It's often the case. But it's too bad. If he's the president, he gets veto power. Because better to come to a decision that is not so good than to no decision at all. So if you don't give the president veto power, you might as well not have a government. Just have a debate team and sit around and debate issues. The husband should be recognized or pointed as the final decision, even if it's not his idea. And that, I think, is the wisdom of Rivka. It's her idea. She knows it's a good idea. She knows it's the right thing to do, but she goes to him for his stamp of approval. That's harmony. So a president can have brilliant advisors, and almost everything he does is somebody else's opinion. I think that's the way it works anyway. Every congressman, every senator, you have a staff, they're smart people, they tell you what to say, and you say it and you sound brilliant. So the Rebbe would tell women, there's a method, Socratic method, where you get your opponent to think it was his idea. That is the most convincing way of winning an argument. Because if he thinks it's his idea, well, then he's in 100%. If he agrees with your idea, there's some hesitation. What's happening today is very sad and very painful to watch. And we always worried about losing our Jewish identity. And some people argued that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Why do you have to identify as a Jew? Let's become citizens of the world and merge with other people, assimilate, and just be good human beings. Why do you have to be Jewish? And that's a very logical argument. You can defend it by saying everybody has to have a group loyalty. It's useful to belong to a group, to identify with, so that you're bigger than just yourself. Okay, sounds so a little bit useful, but the downside is much stronger. People divide into groups, and inevitably there's going to be conflict. Inevitably there's going to be war. So what's wrong with just blending, fit in to wherever you are? Why do you have to be Jewish? But we found out the hard way, I guess, through experience, we are not choosing to be Jews. Jews are not chosen, they're chosen. We're not doing the choosing. We are chosen. We are given that identity in our DNA. So it's not a question of why would you want to be Jewish? You are Jewish. What are you going to do about it? Same is true with gender. It's not a discussion. You want to be male or you want to be female? You are what you are. And the only way to change that is by massacring yourself. And then who knows what you end up being. So we're told that we're Jews, and we have to find the wisdom and the strength and the dedication to be who we are. If you're male, well then find a way to live it, to do it. If you're female, be who you are and be successful at it. Sometimes it's a challenge. So I think the Jewish experience is a very good model for people who are confused about their gender. If you're confused about your gender, talk to the Jewish people and find out how we managed to make being Jewish work for us. Because it seems like it was working against us. How do you make being male work for you? How do you make being female work for you? That's wisdom. An operation, that's a carpenter.
Rabbi Friedman, but with that analogy, being Jewish work for us means really being Jewish, not being Jewish in the name. I mean, realistically, if you're all in, then it works. Because otherwise, we can argue against it. I mean, with the whole Kanye West situation right now, calling Zionists out, which is Jewish, but not really what you mean as far as I understand being Jewish. So there is also that line of, I mean, really, what does it mean to be a man today is actually what I would like to ask.
Right. So what you're saying is, if we're going to use being Jewish as a model, then follow the logic. How did Jews make it work for them? By going deeper. Same thing. You're told you're a boy because you play with trucks. You're a boy because physically, biologically, it doesn't convince. It doesn't work. Okay, so let's go deeper. There's more to being male than biology. In fact, your body is designed to support your identity. It doesn't give you your identity. So if we were to say, for example, what is a woman? A woman is a creature who can give birth to another human being. Period. And that is an absolutely correct statement because nobody else can. So if you want to define something, you want to identify it, you have to find that which is unique to that being. You can't say women are sensitive. Everybody's sensitive. You can't say men are aggressive. Women can be aggressive. It's not unique. You say men are more aggressive. Maybe, I don't know. It's not a definition. So if you want to know what is a woman, tell me something that only a woman has. And the answer is a uterus. Is that not a fact?
It's a fact.
Okay, so then the argument becomes, oh, so your uterus determines who you are and decides your fate? Not quite. The fact that a woman has a uterus is because she is a woman. She's a woman first, and that's why she has a uterus, not the other way around. So God sends a female soul into a female body. What is a female soul? A soul means a mission, the purpose for which you are born. If your purpose is to be female, then you'll have a female body that includes a uterus. If your purpose and mission in life is to be masculine, then you won't have a uterus. So the uterus is simply the proof that this is a woman. It's not what makes you a woman. So now we have to go deeper. If it's not the uterus, then what is it? So, oh, it's the soul. Well, what's a soul? And how do souls get divided into male and female? You would think, logically, a soul should be both male and female. It's a soul. It can do whatever it wants. Because we always think of male and female as determined by the body parts. Well, the soul doesn't have body parts, so why would it be male or female? Why can't it be both? Or optional? As far as the soul is concerned, I can be male, I can be female. Like God. We refer to God as him. But is God really masculine? Not feminine? That's ridiculous. So, in the spiritual world, what does it mean to be male or female? We're going into the spiritual world because we need to go deeper. Body parts is not convincing or satisfying. Just like in a relationship, The intimacy between a husband and wife does not come from body parts. Although they're made for each other, somehow, and this is something we really need to think about, why is there sexual dysfunction? You would think it's a mechanical reality. This is a male body, this is a female body. How can it not work? So obviously, the biology is completely dependent on something deeper and something less physical. So, in overly simplified terms, if the emotions are not matching, then all of a sudden the body parts don't work. This is something that really we should give a lot of thought to, because we think the body parts are real. They're tangible, they're real, they're functional. What's the difference? What you feel, what you want, what you believe. You got the body parts, they fit each other. How could it not work? What's not working? Now, when it doesn't work, it's not, I don't want to be intimate with you. That makes sense. That I can't function. So the body that seems to be so real and so mechanical turns out to be so delicate and so fragile. One nasty word and that's it. The body can't function. So the psychosomatic reality, we've been neglecting it in this area. At any rate, what is it that makes us male or female? Something in our soul. What is a soul? The mission and the purpose for which your soul comes into the world in the first place. If you are given the mission of being the man, then you are given a man's body, a man's mind, a man's temperament, a man's personality, so that you can serve out the purpose for which you exist. If your purpose and mission was to be a female, then you're given a female body with female sensitivities, with a female psyche, a female mind, so that you're equipped to fulfill the mission for which you were created. It's very interesting that these two things, gender dysphoria and existential pain, are the two features in society today that describes who we are and what we're suffering from. It's amazing that they came together. At the same time that I don't know what male or female is, I also don't know why I'm here. I didn't ask to be born. What's the connection between the two? They're really one issue. If I don't know why I'm here, I don't know what it means to be male or female. Because male is originally a mission. Female is a mission. It evolves into different psyches, different bodies, different strengths, different weaknesses, but it all begins with a mission. So if I don't know what my mission is, well, then I don't know anything. And that's why the question of why am I here has become such a painful one. We always thought you can function perfectly well without knowing what your mission is. Who says there is a mission? And even if there is a mission, it's too philosophical. I'm not the type. Leave me alone. I just want to live. Now we're finding out you can't do it. Can't live. Can't function. if we don't know what our purpose is, we are severely handicapped.
Rabbi Friedman, what made us so easily swayable into believing that we can choose gender, be something we were not created to be? What is making, what is swaying us from side to side like this?
My guess, what's the connection between gender and sex? People are now arguing that they're not the same thing. Well, maybe they're not the same thing, but they're certainly connected. I think what's happening in our society is what happened to the ancient Romans. They were highly sexual, promiscuous to the highest degree. Eventually, that becomes boring and deadening. So instead of being heterosexual, which they were fed up with, they decided to go homosexual. They did that for a while until that became boring. Where do you go from there? What happens to a guy who, at a very young age, is heterosexual, very active, and he gets bored, doesn't care anymore, he doesn't want another girlfriend, the thought sickens him? What does he tell himself? I've had too much sex? No, he tells himself, I must be gay. If I'm not enjoying heterosexual sex, I must be homosexual. So he goes there and overdoes it again, overindulges until he's sickened. Now what does he tell himself? He tells himself that maybe he's not supposed to be male. I mean, what else could be wrong? I don't like homosexual, I don't like heterosexual. What is wrong with me? I'm the wrong sex or the wrong gender. There was this guy who wanted to have an operation to become a woman so that he could be a lesbian. He's attracted to women, but not like a man. He wants to be a woman attracted to women. Anyway, the confusion is very, very painful. But I think what's happening is that sex itself is being lost. People just don't get any satisfaction out of sex. And it's scary. And before they get a chance to talk to anybody about it, they come to certain conclusions in their own mind. And one of the very popular conclusion is, I'm the wrong gender. How else can I explain this? I'm sexless?
Rabbi Friedman, so it is based on what you're saying, we can come to the conclusion that gender confusion is sexual, or is it psychological?
All the above. They're all connected. You can't really separate them. Look, there are people who are factually, personally, individually, dysphoric. This is a thing that happened all through history. But that's very rare. For trans ideation to become so popular, it can't be that it's organic. Except for those few people, there have always been the popularity of it must be socially induced, culturally induced. Something is causing people to doubt their own gender. What is it? I asked this teenage girl who wants to become a boy. She calls herself trans. I said, why would you want to be a boy? Boys are disgusting. She says, yeah, I know. So why do you want to be a boy? I don't know. So in society, there's always like a mass mentality, a collective mentality. So even if you didn't have that experience where you lost interest in heterosexual and you lost interest in homosexual, and therefore you're kind of in limbo when it comes to your sexuality, even if you didn't have that experience, it's in the air. It's the vibration of our time. So everyone is going to feel it. As the mass thinking. So what is the solution? Like you said, the solution is go deeper. Don't dismiss gender as an accident. Go a little deeper, see what it really is, and you'll find out that it's very relevant. It's the real you, and you can do it. So don't get desperate. Again, there are individuals who have a legitimate problem. Like they say, they feel like a male soul in a female body. Can that happen? I don't understand it. Because if soul means God's mission, God sent you into this world to be a male, and you ended up in a female body, how did God mess up like that? So if it's true that a male soul can go in a female body or a female soul in a male body, who's responsible for this? Where is the damage control or quality control? Who's in charge of this? Who messed up here? But that's a rare thing. It's never a popular thing. And all of a sudden, every kid is trans. It's going to blow over like every other fad. Just that a lot of people will be left with a lot of scars.
Rabbi Fridman, I also wanted, I don't think we have time today, but this is a really huge topic, and maybe we can continue it next week as well, because it's very, very serious. I think it's one of the biggest problems of our times, this gender confusion that's affecting not just those who are going through it, but the entire society altogether. And I am sure that this is also affecting the, for sure, heterosexual men and women psychologically in some way, shape, or form. It's shaping the future of the children, because we have to live in this society. We can't run away from it, and I don't think we should run away from it. So if you don't mind, can we please continue this topic next week and get more deeper into it, and to really understand how it's affecting the entire world, not just the ones who are confused, but also those who are not?
Of course. because you're absolutely right. The confusion is massive. There's almost no one left unconfused. And the tragic result, if this continues, is that our population will disappear. No one is going to be having children, and we're going to become extinct, like the Romans. Is that a bad thing? Some people don't think it's so bad because we're overpopulated anyway. That's horrible. That is horrible. That's genocide in a polite way.
And who is deciding whether we're overpopulated or not? I mean,
and we're not.
I hope not. I hope not. Rabbi Fridman, amazing. Another very inspirational, very deep, very, very important time spent on our radio. And we're so blessed to have you with us at this time. And thank you so much for the clarity in this really, really confusing and not such simple times that we're living in. Again, wish you lots of goodness in every which way. May you have the strength to continue spreading light, spreading wisdom, giving people strength and direction in this confusing times. Thank you so much.
I mean, thank you. See, it's we're supposed to be a light to the nations. We keep finding deeper and deeper purpose in that. In this case, being Jewish can be a light to the nations as how to handle gender. Look at the Jews. See, we're a light to the nations. So yes, we will continue next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, Rabbi Fridman, and until next week. Всем, кто сейчас нас слушал, огромное вам всем спасибо. Спасибо за то, что вы с нами, за то, что вы слушаете, за то, что вы стараетесь быть лучше, светлее, умнее и позитивнее. С этими словами я Аня Пекерман и передача Thank God It's Tuesday. Прощаемся с вами до следующей недели.